Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We are headed into our final segment of the day. Going to be talking some baseball, and the MLB finally have opening day in the books. We got 13 games. 2 of them were postponed due to rain, so the Brewers and Mets and the Braves and Phillies games were both pushed to today. But 13 games, had a handful of exciting ones and big-time moments from the opener, so we are going to dive into those, starting with the Yankees versus Astros game that took place yesterday. The biggest off-season addition for the Yankees in this one, in Juan Soto, was really the story of the day because of the fact that he had the late-game heroics, not offensively, but on the defensive side, where he made a great throw from the right field to throw out Mauricio Dubon at home plate for what would have been the game-tying run. To sort of set this up, it was the 9th inning. The Yankees led 5-4 after one of their other big offseason additions in Alex Verdugo hit a sac fly in the top of the 7th to give them that 5-4 lead. In comes the 9th inning. Clay Holmes enters for the Yankees. He allows singles to both Dubon and Yordan Alvarez, setting up the Astros with runners on first and second with just one out. Kyle Tucker steps up to the plate, the lethal hitter that he is. He drives one into right field, where then Dubon decided to try and test the new Yankees outfielder, and it did not go well for him. Soto ends up throwing him out at home. Ultimately, this play was reviewed, so, maybe you saw something different than the umpires did, but ultimately the call was upheld. I thought it was a fine call. I was listening to the Astros broadcast at the time where they were a little unclear, but I do think that they got the call right in this situation, and that was really the game-saving play for them there, where Soto was the key piece in all of it. He finished his Yankees debut with 1 hit, 1 RBI, 2 walks, but again, that outfield assist was really the play that welcomed him into the Yankees culture and showed that he is going to be a significant contributor of the team. I'm curious to see, because we did have a commenter on a video that was released yesterday worrying about the fact that Soto is going to sour on the organization, that he's more of a me-first guy. I don't know how much I've really heard that narrative up to this point. Now, his time in Washington the past few seasons, I can't blame him for being a little bit frustrated with the organization. He comes in his rookie year, just 19 years old, and is the best, at least the best offensive position player on the team to help lead the Nationals to the World Series in 2019. But since then, the Nats haven't really done much to surround him very much with talent, and I also understand he has been, since the moment he stepped in the league, one of the most impactful players in the league. Now, he then goes on to San Diego, where they have this massive payroll, and really I couldn't explain to you why San Diego was as bad as they were last year. They had all these big contract guys, and all of a sudden they ended up falling apart. Really, it was they never got it together, and we were looking late in the year. It's like, okay, is this the point where we're going to see them turning it on? And that just never happened. So in order to cut some costs, they end up trading him to the Yankees, and I guess we'll see where it goes from here. But he's been a pretty reliable player over the past handful of seasons, and curious to see how this plays out. Again, in New York, I believe that the top-end talent between Judge and Juan Soto is just about as good as you're going to get with any team in the MLB in a lineup. Obviously, you have the likes of the Braves and the Dodgers who would like something to say about that. But again, top-end talent-wise, it's there with Judge and Soto. How much are the other players going to be able to step up in these scenarios? Yesterday, you got some production from the bottom of the lineup in Volpe, who had a nice game for himself, in Verdugo, who ended up, like I mentioned, driving that run in with the sac fly off of some Judge action earlier in the inning as well. So we'll have to see with them. And as far as pitching-wise, it is also a little bit of a concern. Nestor Cortes wasn't great in this game, and they're, of course, without Garrett Cole for the next month or so. We'll see when he is fully able to come back. He's supposed to be reevaluated mid-April, I believe, is the timeline for him. But Cortes got hit pretty hard in the first couple innings, was ultimately able to settle in. I would never overreact to, one start out of a 162 game season. I've never been the overreacting type necessarily. I say that all the time when talking about NBA. Overreacting to one game of the MLB would be entirely hypocritical there. But there are probably some question marks surrounding the Yankees in what they're going to be able to do from a pitching staff as a whole, especially in the absence of Garrett Cole. So that is something I'm looking forward to. But enough on that game. We also had the reigning champ Texas Rangers play off in a thrilling game against the Chicago Cubs that went into extra innings. This game could have potentially gotten a little controversial because of what happened in the ninth inning, where the Cubs were up at bat, and it was Miles Mastronobi up at the plate. He swung on a pitch. It appeared that he had made contact and fouled it off. Jonah Heim, playing catcher behind the plate, he had fumbled it. It passes by him. He becomes adamant that it was that Mastronobi made contact with the ball. While he's arguing with the home plate umpire, the Cubs come around and Bush ends up scoring the go-ahead run to make it a 3-2 ball game at the point. So that was a little bit controversial there. Lucky for the Rangers, Travis Jankowski came through for them in the bottom of the ninth, ended up hitting a solo home run to even the score. Game goes into extra innings, and it was Jonah Heim after this play where, again, I can't blame him for, it looked to me like it was a fouled ball, but to not track the ball down first before going on this argument with the umpire, I believe was a mistake. It ended up costing them a run, whether it was, the umpire's fault or not. Sometimes you just got to play through with, no whistle necessarily, but you got to see the play through. And Heim did not do so in this instance, and it led to what could have been the game-losing run. But ultimately, Heim comes back in the bottom of the 10th and hits the walk-off single. So nice little redemption for him there. But I was really interested in this game as well. It was in terms of, the overall baseball season officially starting. We, of course, had the Dodgers and Padres in Seoul, but one of the first national broadcasted games of the year. One was on ESPN, and I was tuning in because I was really curious to see the debut of Wyatt Langford in the MLB. I gotta say, pretty impressive stuff here. It's not that his stat line necessarily sticks out all that much, but still, you could see with the plate approach, he went up for his first at-bat and did not swing at a single pitch, just sort of let himself settle into the moment. So he ends up striking out in this instance, but ultimately you could see the wheels sort of churning with him, and he was just sort of trying to settle into the moment. And then from there on out, he ended up being a very solid player. His next at-bat, He got underneath a slider, I believe the pitch was, and he hit it deep. Now, underneath, popped it up a bit, but still good enough to drive in a run there. So he got his first ever RBI. And we also saw him with his first ever hit on an infield play, where, keep in mind, this is somebody who played catcher for the Florida Gators a lot last season. He's a really true rookie when you look at it. Drafted with the 4th overall pick in 2023. He was able to beat out the ball for an infield single. He drove it towards the shortstop and ended up winning the race to first base and showed that, yeah, he can run too. So he is a very interesting prospect to me. We talked yesterday about the odds for Rookie of the Year. I ended up going with Evan Carter, who did sort of struggle in this game, both in the field and at the plate. Again, just one game, so not an overreaction, but I thought it was very encouraging stuff here from Wyatt Langford. He had a chance to walk it off right before Heim did, actually, in the 10th inning, but he was not able to convert in that situation. But still, one way or another, a pretty encouraging performance from him there. Now, he was just slotted in the designated hitter position in this game, so we will eventually see him playing out in the field more. In left field, I believe, is where he's supposed to play. That's where Evan Carter was yesterday, so I'm not sure necessarily where they are going to arrange him at. He had a pretty tough play in the outfield in that one that misplayed the ball, ended up leading to a triple for the Cubs that ended up bringing in their first run. So again, we'll see how the Rangers choose to sort of stack up their young pieces as they continue to try and defend their championship run from last year. But that's all we really have time for today. Tons more baseball to get to as the year progresses, but we will get to all of that as it comes. So as of now, that is all we have for today. Thank you very much for tuning in to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Thank you to the GSMC Sports Network for allowing us to host this show. We will be back on Monday. Reminder to like, follow, subscribe, and keep up with us when we come back on Monday. We will have updates on who is going to be playing in the Final Four in Phoenix, as well as all other types of storylines. So have a great weekend, and we will see you then.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go.